So let's start. Good morning, good afternoon, I guess. I am Mary Ellen Wilson, your business development manager with Visiting Angels, where we have offices in Silver Spring, Gaithersburg, Edgewater, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. I am joined today by my awesome guest, Dr. Zykia LaRue. We have been doing a health and wellness workshop, Aging Well. And this is part 3 in our series. And it's really been so fun to do this, to bring this all to you. And in the first part, we talked about strength and the importance of strength as we age, the importance of our muscles. And Dr. LaRue was so kind to give us 5 different exercises that we can do at any time. And Dr. LaRue, I have been doing them religiously. Thank you. Yes.
Awesome.
And then last week we talked about balance and, and having that stability and balance to prevent falls, among other things, and things that we can do to enhance our balance, which is so important. So today we're looking at it holistically, our health holistically. And so today we're going to be talking about your mind and gut connection, nutrition and how it affects mental health. So, without further ado, and we're also going to be making our favorite snacks, which I can't wait for. So, without further ado, Dr. LaRue, I would like for you to jump on in and get us started.
All right, sounds great. Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm so excited to be bringing you the third and last part of this series, all about nutrition and mental health. So first, we're just going to talk about what is nutrition, guys? What does that even mean? That word is thrown around so many times. What does that actually mean to you? So nutrition is, providing our body with the energy that we need. And nutrition helps us to regulate our metabolism. So having really good nutrition can help us to prevent a lot of different types of diseases. But nutrition is really about getting the right nutrients into your body. And these nutrients are substances that we get from our foods. So that's our carbohydrates, our proteins, our minerals and vitamins, and water. Yes, water is a nutrient that we really need to have in our bodies, and also fats. So we're going to be talking a lot about some of these things. We're not going to be going into detail about all of them because I feel like that would take forever. We could probably do that for hours on end.
That could be another 3-part series.
Exactly. So
yeah.
we'll just touch on a few of these today, go into detail about a little bit of them, but some of the diseases that we can prevent by having really good nutrition are our osteoporosis, our type 2 diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, and certain types of cancers. Many people who are 65 years of age and older tend to not know what you should be eating. And sometimes they're either undernourished or overnourished. And research shows us that 1 in 10 older adults who are living by themselves tend to be undernourished. So we know that comes with a lot of different other, adverse events, such as falls, maybe difficulty getting around your home, relying on someone else to help you do, your activities. So nutrition plays a huge role in our ability to just be independent, really. Okay, and so it needs to be taken really seriously, not only with our physical activity, but our nutrition is really important, as well as our mental health, which is why we're going to be talking about that today. So what we're going to be talking about, we're talking about 4 different types of nutrients. So we're going to go into a little bit of detail about our carbohydrates. We're going to be talking about proteins, and we're going to be talking about our vitamins, minerals, and especially water. And then we're going to be getting into demoing some of our favorite snacks, which is going to be great. Yeah, so there's some pages. Yes, I love snacking.
Well, it's funny when you talk about 1 in 10 older adults being undernourished. I think a big part of that comes from the fact that they just don't want to be bothered
Yeah.
anymore. With preparing, I know for myself with 4 children, married 30 years, the night after night after night of cooking a full dinner and getting it on the table, those days are done. They're gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that anymore. And I feel like the more we can provide not only information on nutrition, but
Mhm.
also easy, nutritious things that can be made with or without cooking, the
Yeah.
better off they will
Yeah.
be. So, yeah.
Definitely, definitely. That's definitely a component. And sometimes, we have some other things that happen to us as we get older. So maybe it's, trouble getting around. And because you're having trouble getting around, you're not in the kitchen because it's hard for you to be there. Also, maybe it's chewing your food, having difficulty chewing or swallowing your food.
So true.
Yeah, and then income plays a large role into it as well. So if you're unable to purchase these healthier foods, it's hard to eat a healthy diet. So these are all different areas, and sometimes medications. So, as we get older, there are a lot of different diseases we have that come with medications, and these medications can interfere with our ability to taste our food, or it might cause dry mouth,
Thanks.
or, it might decrease your appetite. And so you're not feeling hungry, so then you're not eating enough, and then you're undernourished. So there's so many different factors that can affect your ability to nourish yourself. So it's important to pick up when you see and notice something changing in your routine, and you see your body changing. Maybe you're losing weight, but you're not really trying to do that, and you're noticing you're not as hungry, you're not eating as much. That's the chance you need to be taking to talk to someone about it and see if we can figure out what type of factors are stopping you, and then how we can help. So we're talking about the carbohydrates first. So I know a lot of people, when you hear the word carbohydrate, you're like, oh gosh, carbs, the worst.
The deadly carbs.
The worst. And most people think of carbs as your breads. So I'm sure there are many people out there who are like, oh, I don't eat carbs, I don't eat breads or whatever. But actually, carbohydrates are sugars. So it's not just breads, it's our fruits and our vegetables too, that are comprised of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are sugar molecules, and our body uses that sugar to provide us with fuel, with energy. That's how our body functions. But we need to be making sure that we're getting these carbohydrates from healthy sources, naturally occurring sources, and not adding in our sweet snacks, like our candies and our potato chips and things like that. We can get the carbs we need from our daily foods, like our fruits and vegetables. And it's still good to eat grains. You need to have some servings of grains. So you need to make sure you're getting those in there, but they should be whole wheat or whole grain. So getting your whole wheat breads, your brown rices, your oats and corn. Those are all really good with grains.
I just have to ask you,
Yeah.
LaRue, it's so hard when you read the labels, you think you're getting whole wheat bread, but then you find out, well, this actually isn't whole wheat. It's got this, oh, and there's the wheat at the bottom. You know what?
Right.
Or I think that it's very confusing to people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It can be. Shopping for foods in and of itself is just very confusing because there are so many ingredients.
Yeah.
And they all have their scientific names. So you're like, I don't even know what I'm eating.
Like sugar has so many different names. Right.
So many different names.
Yeah.
So it's just best to be going with things that you can actually read and understand the labels. If you don't understand what's in your food or on that label, probably try a different one. I know that when it comes to what I eat for my breads, there is I think it's 15 grain multi-grain bread that I get. And anytime you're looking at the ingredients on the food that you're purchasing, the first ingredient should be what you're trying to eat. So if you're getting a whole wheat bread, the first ingredient should be whole grains or whole wheat something, because the first ingredient is where they have the most of it in that product. If the wheat is at the very bottom of the ingredient list, it's negligible in that food product. So if you're looking for something that's whole wheat, it should be the first ingredient in your food. If the first ingredient is sugar, you know that product is comprised of majority of sugar, 50% or more of it is sugar. So always looking for the healthy ingredients to be within the first like 4 to 5 ingredients of a product that you're purchasing.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're getting your whole wheat, whole wheat breads like we're talking about, because you need to be getting your grains in, making sure that whole wheat is the first ingredient there. But like I said, you're getting carbohydrates from other places, like your fresh vegetables and fruits. So with those, you don't really have to worry about ingredients because we know what they are. They are our fruits and vegetables. And we can get, carbohydrates from our dark green vegetables like our broccolis, kale, spinach, and other dark green leafy vegetables. And then our orange vegetables, so our carrots, our sweet potatoes, our squash. And then we can also get carbohydrates from our beans and peas. Beans and peas are not only great sources of carbohydrates, but they're wonderful sources of protein too. So it's a twofer there. So like our pinto beans, our kidney beans, garbanzo or chickpeas, all of those, you're getting really good carbohydrates from them. And they're all nutrient dense foods. So you're getting much more of what you need and less of what you don't need. So that's why I'm sure many of you guys hear about eating more fruits and vegetables, because we know what's in them and you're getting more nutrients from those foods rather than eating some type of thing that's processed that might have some added things into it. These fruits and vegetables give you exactly what you need. And then you also are getting, a variety of fruits. You can get carbohydrates from them. Preferably you get fresh fruit or frozen, canned is okay too. But you want to try to stay away from the fruit juices because that's adding in sugar that we don't want. We can be getting our sugar from the fruit itself, the naturally occurring sugars there. So for adults who are 60 plus, we're looking at servings of our grains. We're looking about at a half a cup for a serving, and we're looking at 6 servings a day. So that's about 3 cups of grains. Yeah, so that's like half a cup of cooked rice or pasta or cereal, and you're looking at about like the size of a baseball would be 1 serving.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
so we're looking at 6 servings. Yep.
You
And
could
then
technically have grains at every meal. You have,
yeah, so you could be having grains at every meal and you're getting in your 6 servings, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
So that way you don't have to think like, oh gosh, I have to get my grains in. You're already getting that in if you're eating, your oatmeal in the morning. If you're eating like rice or some type of pasta, you're getting in
brown rice, though, correct?
Brown rice.
Brown rice.
I want it to be brown. I know it takes longer to cook, but it's so good for you.
So let me ask you, when it comes to something like minute rice, they have a brown version. Is that okay? I always think minute rice is probably not the best rice to be eating.
Yeah, I would think I would always check the label on the back of the minute rice to see, like I said before, with what exactly the ingredients are, and making sure that brown rice is one of those first 4 to 5 ingredients, because you want to make sure that what you're eating is of that whole grain, made of whole grain. If it's lower down on the list, then that minute rice, are you really getting those nutrients that you need? Probably not. Yeah, so you always want to make sure it's one of those first few ingredients. But I eat it like if I'm like, I don't feel like waiting the 25 minutes to boil this brown rice. Right. If there's like a brown rice, and sometimes they have what I eat are like brown rice and quinoa. Quinoa is another really good grain that you guys should eat. It's great having that. So eating the brown rice and the quinoa, it comes like a little packet, but always making sure that you're reading the ingredients. It may take you a second in the store or, when you get it, or look searching for it online, but it's definitely worth it to make sure you're getting exactly what you need right now. Because if you're not, that can lead to some other things. So then also with the fruits, we're looking at 4 to 5 servings. So that's 1 medium fruit or 1/4 of a cup of dry fruit, and then 1/2 cup of fresh. And you're getting 4 to 5 servings of that. So same thing, you could be getting that at all meals of the day.
Yeah.
Awesome. So next we're going to get into our proteins. So our proteins are the building block. We rely on proteins to build muscle. We rely on proteins to repair tissues and to help us fight infections. So it's extremely important. Not only that, we rely on protein to help us to develop energy, produce energy. So we're needing our carbohydrates, but also our proteins for this. And if you're not getting enough protein, it's definitely going to affect your body functions. So where can we get proteins? We're getting proteins from our lean meats. So getting proteins from lean meats, poultry, our seafood and fish, eggs. And you can also get your proteins, like I said, from the beans and peas before. So beans and peas, like probably the cheapest and easiest way to get in proteins. And there's so many things you can do with it, with beans. Protein is also found in our dairy products. So our low fat milks and yogurts, those are great places to get protein. And we know that eating protein from different plant sources tends to be lower in saturated fat. We're not going to really get into fats because it can get quite confusing, but we want to lower the amount of saturated fat that we're intaking. We want unsaturated fat, and unsaturated fats typically come from our plant sources. So like our sunflower oils, our olive oils. We want to try to stay away from the saturated fats, which are more like animal fats, because those are what can lead to, the heart disease and issues within our arteries. So for our proteins, we're looking at, for lean meats, we're looking at 3 to 6 ounces of protein, which is about a cup. And then dairy, we're looking at 2 to 3 servings, which is 1 cup. 1 serving is 1 cup. So 2 to 3 servings of that each day. And then you can get in your protein and carbs with your nuts and seeds, and you can have 4 to 5 servings of those. So that's about 1/3 of a cup of our nuts and seeds, or like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So getting in your nuts and seeds that way. So protein's huge. Not only is carbohydrates, are they really important, but proteins are really important too. And then next up we have water. So water is extremely important, especially for our older adults, because as we get older, we tend to lose that sense of thirst. So it's very, very, very important.
I had not heard that before. Very interesting.
Yeah, so we lose the sense of thirst, and then also like our taste and smell changes. So it's really important, that as we're getting older, and actually just all the time, that we're drinking water throughout the day and not waiting until we're thirsty. Because what we're trying to avoid is dehydration. Our body relies on water for almost every single body function. So we need water to lubricate our joints. We need water, serves as a shock absorber in our eyes and in our spinal cord. It is the main component for almost every single chemical reaction that's happening within our body. And we especially need water for digestion. So it helps our digestive tract to absorb the nutrients that we're eating. So if you're not drinking enough water, you're going to be affecting a lot of different body systems.
Wow.
So you don't want to wait.
There's water in my coffee cup. A secret of mine.
So you want to make sure you're getting in your water. I actually had a client who asked about but I'm drinking like juices and teas and things like that. Yeah. No, we want to make sure we're getting in water.
Really?
Water. Yeah. So no.
Nice decaf green tea.
No. You want to get in your water, straight water. And I know that I'm not the biggest fan because I like things that have some type of flavor to them. So what I like to do is just add some fruit. So I have blueberries or something, like a diffuser into the water. I also really love LaCroix. So I know a lot of people need that, like that fizzy, bubbly taste of a soda. So, carbonated water can give you that, but it's all water. You think you're drinking soda, but
No.
you're not. But you're not.
What about the little mix-ins? Actually, I'm going to go grab one to get your
Yeah.
opinion on this. You keep
Yeah.
talking. I'll be right
Yeah. So like I said, water is super important nutrient that we need for all of our body functions. And especially, as we get older, we want to be able to move our joints around. And water is our joint lubrication. That substance is made of water along with some other things. And so we need to be making sure we're drinking enough water to make sure that our joints are lubricated so we can move around.
Makes sense.
So what is that?
So this is Stir. It is
Okay.
an unsweetened 2% juice made by a father for his family. There you go. But it's 0 calories. I'm looking for ingredients. Here we go. Purified water, natural fruit flavor, concentrated white grape juice, citric acid, natural stevia extract, vitamin C.
Okay. Very short ingredient list. That's good.
So total sugars is 0, total carbs 1 gram. The rest is all 0 on everything.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if you need it. Like if it'll help you to drink your water, absolutely, because it's not giving you those empty calories.
Yeah.
It's not giving you like a bunch of sugar with no other benefit.
Right. But it does have a nice little flavor for your water. Not that I have any kind of interest in the business of Stir liquid water concentrate, but I just thought for any of you out there who really need a little bit of flavor, that is an option. But I wanted to make sure before I said anything that is good.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, all righty.
And then we have our vitamins and our minerals. So we have our vitamin D and calcium, extremely important for our bone health. We know that women who are postmenopausal are more susceptible to osteoporosis and osteopenia. So it's really important that you are getting in enough vitamin D and calcium into your diet. And you want to be talking about these things with your physician too before you start to take any type of vitamin or herbal supplement, especially if you are on medications, prescribed medications. You want to make sure that you're talking to your physician because some of these herbal supplements can interact with the medication. So you don't just want to go grab something off the shelf and thinking like, oh, I'm doing something good for myself. But in the end, it may be interacting with the medication that you are taking. So always consult your physician first.
Very good.
Yeah. And then we have other vitamins like vitamin B12, which is really important for our energy and our nerve health. And then we have potassium. So potassium is really important in our muscle function, but also like our cardiovascular system. So making sure that we're getting in those vitamins and minerals in our diets, but make sure you consult with your physician before going and grabbing a bottle from your local health store to make sure it's not going to interact with the medications that you're already taking. Which is great. So in summary, when it comes to our nutrition, what I always like to tell my clients and patients is make sure that your plates are colorful, because that is an easy way for you to make sure you're getting in all your vitamins and minerals, all of your right carbohydrates, and all the good things, making sure that the food that you're eating is nutrient dense, meaning that you're getting all of the good things you need and less of the bad things. But if you're having trouble, making these meals or eating healthy, especially now, if you're someone who's maybe living alone, you're just like, you don't feel like, making these meals for yourself. A good thing you can do.
Yeah.
Right. Like you just don't want to deal with it. A good way, at least some clients that I've talked to right now have been using it as like a social interaction type of thing. So getting on like a video call with a family member or a friend and cooking together, making it more social and more fun.
Nice. That's
cool. Yeah, make it more fun. So that way you're also, taking care of your mental health because you're able to talk to someone, at this time where everyone's at home. And then also you're moving around, getting some movement in, and then you're making something really healthy. for yourself. Another thing that many people like to do now is meal prep. So just take one day out of your week, make all of your meals, and that way you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. So making batches of foods, taking one day to do all of that. But then you also want to be making sure that you are checking in with how your body's functioning. So are you having trouble moving around? Are you having trouble swallowing and chewing your food? Do you notice a change in your diet and your appetite? Making sure that you're checking in on yourself and seeing if you're having some different changes, because if you are, it's time to talk to your physician about those, because those changes aren't normal. So you want to be talking and saying like, okay, I'm seeing that I'm moving around a little slower. Is there something that, or someone you can refer me to? Or I'm having trouble swallowing and chewing my food, because that's going to impact how you eat. And we know that you need to be getting as many nutrients, good nutrients as you can, as we're getting older. So that's super, super important information. So I don't know, Mary Ellen, if you want to start making our healthy snacks.
Wow.
And I can talk about mental health as we go.
Sure. Two things I wanted to mention. One, in regard to the water.
Yeah.
I don't know if many older adults realize this, but when it comes to dehydration, that is a major cause of UTI infections.
Absolutely.
And UTI infections, I have to figure out how I'm going to do this, are a big cause of hospitalizations.
Yes.
So keep drinking your water, my friends. Keep drinking your water. Okay. So I need to just I thought that Tiffany and I had figured out how I would do this, and now I can't remember. So I'm going to put this right here. You're not going to see me, but you're going to see my little board of fun. So Dr. LaRue and I were talking about, what are some easy, fun things that we can do? Isn't it funny? You can't see my head. I hope that's not a problem. But anyway, this is one of my favorite snacks. It's super easy. And I thank Michelle Erickson for introducing me to it. So it is very simple. It's an apple with sunflower butter wedges. You dip it in. It's so good. So Sun Butter is the brand that I have here. Trader Joe's has a fabulous sunflower butter. So I like to use sunflower butter instead of the peanut butter, because I just feel like with peanuts, I tend to get a little bit of inflammation. Maybe it's just my imagination. I mean, it does have a bad rap. Actually, let's do this. It does have a bad rap, but I like to stay away from peanuts. But you could also use almond butter or any other butter that you like. So the sunflower butter this one is no sugar added. This one is organic, and this one does have a little bit of sugar. So a little bit of sugar goes a long way sometimes. Now, what you're getting with these sunflower butters is your protein, right? Well, Dr. LaRue, you tell us, what are we getting with our?
Yeah, so we're getting our proteins in. We're also getting our source of fats. We're getting our source of fats, and we're also getting our carbohydrates in as well. So we're hitting like threefold there. Our carbohydrates, our proteins, and our fats.
And and fiber too. Okay, so what do we do? Oh my goodness gracious, this is so easy. I have this awesome wedge that you can get anywhere. Mine happens to be from Pampered Chef, and this is going to take notes, because this is complicated. You just put this, there's no cutting involved. You push down on it. It gives you this beautiful cut, so your core stays there. Nothing could be simpler.
Right, very easy.
I've already washed the apple, by the way. And then by leaving the skin on, you're getting all the yummy nutrients in with the skin. And then you take your sun butter. I forgot to get a spoon. Sorry about that. And you just kind of stir it up, because there is the oil does separate a little bit. Stir it up. plop a big old teaspoon or so in there. You dip in your apple chunks and you get sweet, you get savory. There's a little bit of salt involved, all my favorite things. And it's really, really satisfying. So there you have it.
Definitely. And you have like that apple there, so you're getting, carbs and from that source as well, but you're getting the fiber from the skin on it. So like that's a very well-rounded snack. Perfect. And it's delicious.
Oh, it's delicious. Yes.
It's delicious. So easy. So easy. You just saw Mary Ellen make it. What did it take? Less than 5 minutes to make. And then you're getting in all these really great nutrients. So
really
one of
my cravings too.
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Like
Especially I know that I like sometimes will crave something sugary. And eating something like that, having the fruit, I tend to go with like the peanut butter, but having the fruit in something like really just like knocks those cravings out. And I'm no longer craving something really sweet.
And is filling, which is
yes, delicious. So that's perfect, guys. Right there, easy, healthy snack for you guys to make. Try it today. If you have those on hand, try it today. One snack that I like to make is trail mix. So I like to make my own trail mix. We tend to buy our ingredients from Costco because, you can get those in bulk. So it's my huge bag of raisins that I like to put in my trail mix, and then huge bag of apricots. So I like to put in dried apricots because you can get, your probiotics. You're also getting the fruit in there, having the dried apricots. And then I have some cashews, so unsalted. So if you're going to be eating some type of trail mix or just nuts and seeds in general, it's really great to make sure that they are unsalted because you do not need to be adding extra sodium into your diet. And you can get a lot of sodium if you don't get unsalted nuts and seeds. So want to make sure you're getting that. So I have cashews here, and I also have some peanuts, so some unsalted peanuts. I put these in these little bowls for you guys so I wasn't like spilling all over the place. But for our nuts and seeds, I also like to put sunflower seeds into it too. And I find that it's much better for me, at least, health-wise, to be making my own, because sometimes when you get trail mix from the store, it'll have added things in it. And it might actually have some like added sugars, and we're trying to stay away from the sugars, right? Get that sweet, satisfy your craving, but not adding anything onto it. So what I like to do, I have like this airtight container. And what I'll do is I will take a quarter of a cup. So just getting a quarter cup measure. I will take a quarter of a cup of each one of the nuts and seeds that I want. And I'm doing a quarter of a cup because that's one serving of, someone's here. One serving of the nuts and the seeds. And then I'm also going by the serving size on the packages. So for my apricots, one serving is 6 pieces. Now these apricots, like if you can see them, they're pretty big.
They are. Do you chop them?
I don't chop them, but you definitely can. I don't chop them, but you definitely can because I also have the raisins in there. So that gives me my carbohydrates, that gives me my fiber, that gives me my probiotics from the apricots there, and that gives me my daily sugars as well as protein from the nuts. So I usually will just put it in this airtight container, shake it up a little bit, and then I'm good. So like I have this to snack on not only today, but tomorrow, the next day. So typically what we will do is we'll make like a big batch of trail mix and we'll pour it into one of these little bowls and then snack on that. That's another trick for your snacks, to make sure that it's in like a smaller, one serving size, because I know that with me, at least, if I'm snacking on something like popcorn and it's in the bag, I will eat that popcorn and then be like, what? It's all gone.
It's so addicting. You can't stop. You can't stop. You can't.
Yeah.
I know.
So what I found is that when I make something like popcorn, I'll put it in a bowl like this, leave the bag somewhere else, and then snap on what's in my bowl. And honestly, like I will feel like I have enough snacks as long as I have it in a bowl like this. It has a lot to do with psychology,
It really
honestly.
does.
But making sure that, you're getting one serving size and not devouring that entire bag of chips or popcorn. So these are really great snacks, guys. You can make them very easily. It takes only a few moments of your time, but you're getting in all of those really important nutrients that you need. So hopefully those snacks ideas are really helpful. But the last thing that we're going to talk about today is mental health.
And by
Mental
the
health.
way, before you get started,
Sure.
I just remembered that I forgot to tell everyone. Should you have questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat box. And if you have a favorite snack, go ahead
Oh,
and put it in the chat box. We love to share. Okay,
yeah, let us know.
moving on. Go ahead.
Cool idea. So mental health is extremely important. It's not only our physical health that's important, but our mental health plays a big role in how we're able to function throughout our lives. And anxiety and depression are disorders that many older adults deal with, but may not recognize that they are dealing with it. But it's something that needs to be talked about because, like I said, mental health is a really big, important part of our health as a whole. So anxiety and depression, with anxiety and depression, you get, I see a question about water. So 5 to 8 glasses of water you're looking for, 5 to 8 glasses of water each day.
Great question.
Yeah. And one thing I like to do is I have like a very big water bottle and I will fill that up and that will be next to me. It's my little sidekick to make sure that I get my water throughout the day, because out of sight, out of mind, right? So keeping something with you to remind you. But when it comes to anxiety and depression with our older adults, we're looking at, fear and worry and apprehension. And especially now, with our older adults who may be living by themselves, some of these feelings of anxiety and depression can be exacerbated. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing these feelings because they are absolutely valid. We want to make sure that we're addressing them correctly because lots of times the anxiety and depression go unnoticed and it can be debilitating because there are lots of fears that go along with living alone, but also getting older. So like fears of falling, fears of being dependent on someone else, fears of not being able to live on your own. So these are a lot of different factors that can contribute to the anxiety and depression. And so some other things that can contribute are like neurodegenerative disorders, such as our Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, any extreme stress or trauma, a family history, caffeine. Caffeine can also contribute to these feelings of anxiety and depression. I know that when I drink caffeinated beverages and maybe I'm have a tough day at work, I feel myself, my nervousness or anxiousness tends to be more elevated when you have those because it's increasing your heart rate. You may even see that you're maybe a little bit more shaky than you normally would be. So these types of beverages can really exacerbate those feelings of anxiety and or depression. So what are some signs? So some signs are excessive worry or fear, maybe avoiding different types of social situations. Like I just said, racing heart or shakiness, poor sleep, and muscle tension. And then, overly concerned about safety. So these are some signs and symptoms that you should be looking for, not only in yourself, but your family members too. And then also with that, anxiety and depression, usually in older adults, they are coming at you together. So with depression, we're looking at disturbed sleep. So that is a pattern. We want to be making sure if we're noticing that we're having more difficulty sleeping, and it's consecutive and it's interfering with our daily activities, that's a sign and symptom that we need to be talking to our physician or family and friend about that we feel comfortable with. And then changes in appetite. So not only do we need to be looking out for changes in appetite when it comes to our changes in medication, but in our mood. Our mood can affect how we're feeling about eating. and then lack of energy and motivation, and then irritability, loss of interest in doing things. So these are some really important signs and symptoms that we need to be looking out for, not only for ourselves, but the people around us, because our mental health is extremely important, just as important as our physical health. And as I just stated, it can impact how you're moving about your life. So it can impact your nutrition, it can impact your independence, it can impact you as a whole, period. So we want to be making sure that we're using strategies to help us. If we do have these signs and these different symptoms, what are some things that we can do, to help to alleviate some of these feelings? And number one would be to talk to someone, because your feelings are absolutely valid, and talk to someone you feel comfortable talking with. So maybe that's a family member, a friend, spiritual leader. And then also, doing something that makes you feel good. So you may have an activity that you really love to do. Maybe that's walking, maybe that's dancing, maybe that's journaling, doing something that makes you feel good and taking the time out of your day to do it. Those feelings, how you're feeling, they're extremely valid, and they are real. And it's really important to have something, a plan in place for your mental health, to be taking care of it, just like you would your physical health. So just like we would be getting our 30 minutes of activity in, take the time out of your day to make time for your mental health, whether that's playing your favorite board game or playing your favorite game on your phone, or journaling, or making sure that you have that weekly conversation with your family member, your friend, your cousin. Having that time for yourself, for your mental health, is really important. And then exercise. So exercise, getting moving, really helps to release a lot of endorphins and hormones that can improve your mood. So just getting around and moving, taking a walk around the block or something like that can really help to improve those feelings that you may be experiencing. But like I stated, and I'm going to keep stating, our mental health is so important. So if you are feeling these types of symptoms and signs, your appetite's changing, you're losing, interest in doing things, it's important to speak about that with your physician, and they can help to refer you to some resources that can help you to create a plan to make sure you're not only taking care of your physical health, but your mental and emotional health as well. I think I saw a question about filtered water. I didn't see that. But if you have any questions,
is it better to drink filtered water, spring water versus tap water?
I would say that it's better to drink filtered and spring water. Some tap waters, a lot of different chemicals are used to make sure that our tap water is clean for us to be able to drink. And I know that there are a lot of people who don't like the taste of tap water because of that, because of everything that needs to go into cleaning the water for us to be able to drink. So I would say, filtered and spring are higher on my list than tap water. But if tap water is all that you have and you're not a big fan of like the spring and filtered, tap water is perfectly fine. It's just, there's a lot that goes into making sure that we are able to drink it. And so you may see that may manifest itself in the taste of the tap water. But I wouldn't say one's, better than the other. I think that most people just prefer the taste of the filtered and spring over tap.
Great. Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments? And Dr. LaRue, bring it all together for us now. So our mental health is impacted by nutrition.
Yes.
By our level of exercise,
Yes.
Which, by the way, totally, when I work out in the morning before going to work, I'm not as anxious. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The types of food that we eat, and all of the items that you mentioned, staying away from caffeine if you are sensitive to it.
Yes.
And water everywhere. Water everywhere.
Yeah. So making
sure, used to watch Sesame Street. There was a song, water everywhere, you're gonna get wet. Back in the day. Anyway, we do have a bunch of questions coming in. Do you have any? Oh, wait. Can you please talk about probiotics? Good question.
Sure.
Are they necessary? Hmm.
So I can't go into specific detail about probiotics. I can give you like some general information that I understand about them. And from what I understand, the research on the effectiveness of probiotics is mixed. So for some, it helps with their digestion, and for some, they don't see the benefits of it. But physicians and my physician as well recommend probiotics to help with digestion because, either it's going to work for you or it's not. But as far as I know, there aren't any negative effects to eating things with more probiotics. So like your yogurts, like the apricots that I have here, getting those things into your diet. Because not only are you eating or trying to get in probiotics, you're actually getting in other nutrients too, like your proteins and your fats and your carbs.
But what about probiotics that you take? You buy probiotics,
Yeah, like the pills. Yeah. So I have never taken pill form probiotics. I would suggest to you, if you have not already spoken to your physician about that, I would ask them directly because they would be able to give you a little bit more information how it can affect you personally. But like I said, the research is out, and it's out on probiotics as a whole. So it's kind of mixed whether it is beneficial or not. I think some people it really helps, and some people they might not get the effects of it. So if you're someone who's thinking about probiotics, maybe someone has suggested that you take that, I would highly suggest that you speak in detail about that with your physician to see if it's something that could really help you when it comes to your digestion.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna hold off on that. We're gonna go back to the chat and we'll get to that other one. Do you have any other suggestions as to how to encourage someone with memory issues to drink water? And that's always tough. Yeah.
So what I would say, there are lots of different types of foods and fruits that are comprised of more water. So like our watermelons, I know celery and our cucumbers, those types of foods are made up of a lot of water. And so that's a good way to try to get somebody who won't drink water to get in some type of liquid, some type of water into their diet. Another way you can try to do it is, I don't know if they have like a favorite mug or a favorite cup or something that they would normally drink out of on a daily basis, and using that to give them their daily amount of water. So maybe they have a mug that they usually would sit down and drink their coffee with. I would use that mug. So maybe after they drink their coffee, you fill that mug up with some water and then, get in some water intake. I think it's really about making a routine as well. So someone that has dementia, it's super, super, super important to have some type of routine. So getting in, using something like I said, using that mug that they always use for every type of drink, use that, fill that up with some water to help them get their water intake in. And then you don't have to try to get it in all at once. You can do it throughout the day. I think that's another way of helping them to get that water intake, is slowly introducing it and doing it in small amounts as many times as you can, and not trying to have them drink it all in one sitting. Could be beneficial. I think I saw something about, if you're really concerned about the probiotics, one thing that I highly recommend to my clients and patients is to speak to a dietitian or nutritionist. I think I saw that question down there. That's their wheelhouse when it comes to your digestive system, and making sure that you are getting everything that you need to, and they will probably have more information that can help you in that area, because food, that's their wheelhouse. So they would be the experts to ask, especially about probiotics. So if you know a registered dietitian, or if your physician can refer you to one, I highly suggest doing that if you are interested in learning more about probiotics.
Okay. Under the Q&A, not to be political, But how does the 2020 election and the pandemic and life as it is right now affect our outlook on life? Is this a short term mental nutritional blip in the atmosphere, or could this manifest into other long term issues? And I think really the pandemic is what we would want an answer on about that, because the pandemic has changed life for us as we knew it.
Yeah.
And I think it's older adults who are really feeling the brunt through isolation, loneliness, etc.
Yeah.
So, doctor.
Yeah, so I would say that there's a possibility of it having long-term effects if we do not address the way we're feeling and how we're moving about life now. We have been in this pandemic for a few months now. So we are already all feeling the effects of it, and we recognize that. It's important to be proactive so that this doesn't turn into something that's long term. And so I would highly suggest figuring out a plan. Right now, different cities and different states have different rules and regulations about, moving about, how many people visiting, whatever like that. I would suggest that you create a plan. So what some plans that I do and I suggest to my clients are like the video and phone calls, setting up an actual schedule for that. Every Sunday I talk to my family members at 4 o'clock. And that's all of them. That's my brothers and sisters, my mom and dad. And it serves as a check-in too. But it's also really great for us to be able to talk, and we'll play games and things like that. So I highly suggest you set up a schedule, because not only is that giving you that interaction, but it's helping your mental health to be able to have people to talk to. You need to be making some type of physical activity plan as well. So there are so many different, videos out now for exercises that you can be doing in your house with your household items. That's also something that I'm developing too, is to bring you guys some type of YouTube content,
I was
video.
just going to say that. I was
Yeah.
just about to say, Dr. LaRue, that's what you should be doing once a week in the morning. Boom.
Yeah, so definitely developing that for you to have something for you to do, as you're at home, to make sure that you are getting that physical activity in. And the same thing with your nutrition. So, like I stated earlier, a good way to make sure that you are getting everything that you need into your diet is eating a brightly colored plate, but being intentional about what you're getting from your grocery stores, what you are purchasing, and then using that time, either using that cooking time as a social time for you to do with like a family member, and then also doing something like a meal prep where you take a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday and create all of your meals. So that way you don't have to plan what you're going to be eating for the rest of the week, to take that stress out of the equation. Especially if you were somebody who would go out to eat often or would pick up things often, that would create a lot of ease when it comes to deciding what type of food you're going to eat, and how you're going to eat it. So hopefully those were good
Yeah,
steps and tips.
absolutely. I would also like to add to check out the senior center in your area. While senior centers are closed for physical activities,
Mhm.
most of them have moved to virtual events.
Mhm.
And I know they have a whole calendar of things going on every single day. And I think we crave that connection, that social connection again. We have social media everywhere, but yet we're more
Mhm.
isolated than ever. And I think that anytime you can be on a virtual like this
Mhm.
event, where you're actually able to interact, is a really good thing.
Yeah.
And actually, I will tell you that along these lines, our next coffee chat. So we do a coffee chat every other week. And it's usually on some aspect of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Mhm.
But next week, I believe it is next week, we're going to be talking about, with the holidays coming up, how to bridge that loneliness and isolation gap, especially in older adults who do have some cognitive issues. So be looking for the link for that as well. All right, now we have one more question, it looks like. Oh, wait, we have two more. Okay, I'm going to go with the easy question.
Okay.
And then there's another one that might be a little more involved. So the first one is it better to drink water before or after coffee? Since I've heard that coffee is dehydrating.
I would suggest that you drink water before you drink coffee.
I think that's a good
For that,
rule. You wake up and I try to do this every morning. Wake up and drink as much water as, a cup full of water before you have
Mhm.
your coffee. It just lubricates everything, gets you going for the day.
Exactly. Yeah, we talked about the importance of water and the part it plays in all of our body systems. So the best thing you can do for yourself when you first get up is to have water before starting, because it helps with your digestion and everything. So water first, coffee second.
And then water again.
Yes, and then more water throughout the
Back to water.
day.
Fourth, fifth, and sixth. Okay. So, and then in the 4 minutes we have left, if you need to lose a lot of weight, what's a good way to get started so that you're likely to stick with it?
Yeah. So one thing that I try to talk to a lot of my clients and patients about is that these fad diets, they're great. You might see some quick results, but they're hard to stick to because they're hard to follow. So the best thing that I would suggest for you is to try to slowly add in things, more healthy foods into your diet. Don't try to do everything at once. Slowly start changing the way that you're eating and find things that give you that satisfaction, so you don't quit eating the healthy food. So like those snacks that we talked about, the apple and the sunflower butter, the sun butter gives you that, it satisfies that craving of sugar, but giving you all of those nutrients that you actually need. So that's what's really important when it comes to weight. Your diet is 80% of it. So you have to make sure that you're getting in all of those really great things, and slowly changing what you're eating. Don't do everything all at once because it will drive you nuts and you'll want to quit. And then the other thing is to make sure you're physically active. You can change your diet and be eating as healthy as you want, but if you are not moving your body, you're not going to see those changes that you're looking for. So it's really important that you are being physically active on top of eating a healthy diet. And that goes for the same thing with that. Do it in moderation. Slowly start to change what you're doing, because if you try to do it all at once, it's going to drive you nuts. So make
Okay,
sure
we
you're
have
slowly
30
active.
seconds. This is a whole topic
I
that we could
know.
really do a whole nother webinar. It's such a great question, though, and I want to highlight the point of stay away from the fad diets.
Mhm.
Put into your daily routine changes, little
Yeah.
changes that you can maintain, and look
Mhm.
at it as a long-term adventure. And I know
Exactly.
whereof I speak, I just lost 20 pounds and I still have 20 to go. So it is a long-term venture. Oprah once said, you can't out exercise a bad diet. And I think I was in that mode. Oh, I just ran 3 miles, so I'm going to have ice cream after dinner. Well, you know what? It doesn't work that way. Like Dr. LaRue
Mhm.
said, 80% is your diet. So
Mhm.
sadly.
Yeah, I
All
know.
right, we have got to wrap this up. This was awesome. Dr. LaRue, the advice. Okay, wait. What was the vitamin that you mentioned other than vitamin D, calcium, potassium, probably B12?
B12. Mhm.
Okay. All right. We have got to wrap this up. You will get a recording link. You will get some extra recipes and things that we're going to send you, compliments of Dr. LaRue. And someone mentioned, they were thanking us, Dr. LaRue, and said, geez, you should think about doing more of these together. So we will think
Should
about
do
that.
that.
I think we enjoyed it as much as, if not more, than all of you. So again, thank you so much for joining in today. Look for future workshops.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.